بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب زدني علما.
Now, the next thing we'll try to see the different types of documents in the IT solutions. When we talk about network engineers, we need to understand what kind of documents will be created and maintained during the IT projects. And again, we need to understand who is responsible for each type of a document. So to start with, the first one, we have something called high level design, HLD. HLD basically shows you the overall network design. Okay, this is just like a map, we can say, which will include multiple things like the network topology and the system flow, the main components or main components, we can say, usually prepared by the senior engineers. So most of the time, you have the senior engineers or the architects who will be responsible for preparing this. So this basically helps the management and the clients to understand the project in a bigger picture. You can take any project, any example. Basically, let's say if you're implementing some SD access network, in a bigger picture, we are going to tell these are the border routers, these are the edge devices, and then we define that these are the fabric devices. So you actually define the network in a bigger picture. How many routers, how many switches, those details will be listed in that HLD. Now, the second part, you will also find something called LLD. LLD stands for low level design. Now, this low level design is basically a step by step technical details, like what is the exact IP address we are going to configure, what is the exact VLAN name or the number being used, what are the interface, what are the VRFs, all these details, step by step technical details to be added. That is what we call it as, typically done by the level 1, level 2 engineers who are actually responsible for doing the end-to-end implementation. So this is more like a blueprint of your configurations. Whatever the configurations you're going to do, it's going to act as a blueprint of your the entire blueprint of your complete configurations. So the high level design is done by the senior engineers, overview, bigger picture, and again, step by step detail you will find in the LLD. Now, there is one more thing. We have something called SOPs, standard operational procedures. Now, SOPs are basically the guidelines you have to follow. This is like a step by step guidelines you have to follow, or you can say the routine task or the repeated task. What exactly you have to do? Like the daily operations, it can include daily operations, routine tasks, or troubleshooting, or any kind of maintenance related. Now, these SOPs are important, especially for any new engineers to follow the same steps every time. They have to simply follow the same steps every time. Like, for example, like you have to take a FortiGate firewall, you have to take the backup of the configs. Okay, so, or it can be like how to onboard a switch. So if you're adding a new switch to the network, what is the standard operational procedure to add a new switch? So for every different type of task, we define a set of standard operational procedures so that anyone follow the same procedure to do the same task. Now, there are other terms we generally refer here. There is something called change records or incident reports. Now, change records refers to a record every change made in the network. Okay, so let's say if there is an interface F0 by 5, which was in shutdown state, and that was the reason the connection was not coming up. And a simple solution you did is, the simple solution, simply say no shutdown. And once you made the no shutdown command, the interface comes up. But again, this is what we call as a change. This is the change what you made in the network. Now, this has to be recorded. You need to have a record of this, of whatever the changes you do in the network, basically saying that who did this and when it was done and why it was done. So simple, like who did, when it was done, and why it was done. Okay, so this includes many other things like in identifying the root cause or any kind of resolution steps or any actions we are going to tell to prevent the issue. Okay, so this is very important for something like audits or for audit trails, because whenever you make any changes, this is very important for audit trails along with the customer confidence. And also it's important that you are accountable for all these things. So we should have an accountability for any changes done. Like I said, simple example, there is a network, 10 dot network, and we did some inter VLAN routing and we modified that network for a new department or created a new VLAN. And the other thing, we also have something like daily progress logs. Now, daily progress logs is typically the daily, or it can be a weekly update, which will show you the progress of the task. If there is any pending items, what is the status, what is the current status, what is the progress. Either it is in progress or it is pending or any kind of other details we are going to mention. Now, this is important for the team, especially for the team lead and for the clients. You know, they need to have a track of what is actually done and what is going to be done next. Now, this daily progress logs is going to simply give a short, very short, clear and information about the progress of the project. Like, to be precise, if I take some examples, let's say you are going to configure some DHCP scope for the site 1 or the site A. And this is something already done, configured. You say it is done. And then you mention that there is a pending VLAN 30 routing is pending. So you need to configure the VLAN 30 that is pending, and then routing is also pending, maybe for the next day or the next week as per the reports. So these details are also important. These are all the things what we generally follow in the documentations.